All right, I'm back with another costume video. And in this video, we are going glamour. We are talking about Leane. And when I say we, as always, I'm joined by Pez, the costume expert who very famously watched all of season 1 of the Wheel of Time TV show without having read any of the books. And just based on her knowledge of costume design, she was able to predict things from like literally the very end of the series based on hints and clues and details in the costume. So she knows her stuff. I'm also joined by Bree, the one half of the best-selling sci-fi fantasy romance duo Kit Rosha. Their most recent book is Consort of Fire, which is a very fun, very, very sexy fantasy romance book that I highly recommend. So you should totally check that out. As I said, in this video, we are going glamour. We are talking about the costumes worn by Leane in season 2 of the Wheel of Time TV show. I am going to give a very, very heavy spoiler warning for this video. Very strong. If you have not read through to book 12, The Gathering Storm of the Wheel of Time, go away. Do not watch this video. We are going to be dropping significant spoilers. Very, very strong spoiler warning. Go away if you haven't finished book 12, The Gathering Storm. If you've gone that far, you can go ahead, but be careful. Be careful. Okay, but the rest of you, let's get into it.
Let's be nerdy with Let's Be Nerdy. Let's be nerdy with Let's Be Nerdy.
It's been a while. It's been a minute since we recorded. But I believe, again, Bree, I don't know if you realize you are completely leading these discussions
just
with
based on how I get dressed.
Outfit choices.
I feel like we need some more
outfit
Aes
choices. I think you might be right about that. So
in the Hall of the Tower, I could invite a few to come in and, see what they're wearing. Keeper, we haven't done her yet, have we? Because let me tell you. Let's start with Leane. I would like her to throw a cup at me. That sounded so dirty, but this is like the first picture you're going to open up.
As long as we don't go into 2 Aes Sedai, 1 cup.
Too far.
God. that is indeed too far. Oh, Lord.
Goddess.
Her costume is so good.
Oh,
it's so beautiful. Like, it's just...
So it's so different from what we see in basically all the other Aes Sedai. And part of that is because they've chosen to use a satin for the textile. So satin is, due to the structure of how the fabric itself is made, it doesn't matter like what fiber you use. It's always going to be shinier than other things that are made a different way. But they've used a like highly reflective fiber type to make the satin. And so it's just... it looks like water. It looks like it's glowing. It's moving, which is so different. But it also looks a little bit like armor. Like, look how tightly her bodice is fitted and how it almost resembles, like, there's some, I think, Renaissance era Europe suits of armor that have little joins and strips of metal along the breastplate like that. And so it kind of makes me think, like, she's in armor because Swan left her to deal with this shit on her own.
Right, yeah. Swan's off gallivanting about. Yeah. Oh, that is true. I love the cape of it all. Yeah.
And the way that the top matches the gown.
Yes.
Those little lines, like,
yeah, the seams.
Yeah. Rays of, like, they seem to continue into, like,
and
it's
I
obviously
can't
different
tell
piece, but
if it's seams or if they've done like little tucks or if it's a decorative treatment. I'm guessing seams, but it's beautiful.
Like, we've, is this the same one or a different one?
It's the same one.
It's the same one. It's just, yeah.
I want to call out, and like, if we go back one, so we can just see this dress. I think something really interesting they've done here, like, for this character and the arc we know she's about to be on. This is severe. This is high neck, and we see a lot of stuff where she's got very high neck, very severe,
super covered up.
But it's also glamorous as hell. Like, this is someone who knows fashion. she may not be using it right now
Yeah.
to be sexual, but she's using it to be powerful. She's using it to
Yes.
be cold, stern, hard, like forbidding. So like I love that they are, instead
Yeah.
of doing this whole weird makeover arc where it's like, well, I was frumpy, but now I'm sexy. I feel like she's using the fashion and using her appearance to do one thing right now, and we may get to see her decide to use it to do something else later. But it still seems
Yeah, she's
so
using it as a
deliberate.
weapon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also really like how she leans into like the 30s glam, right? The golden era
Yes.
of Hollywood aesthetic with the flowing satin and the long flowing lines. It elongates the body. It makes her appear instantly glamorous. Like that's just how we read this. This is
Mhm.
glamour. Even though this silhouette is not what we would equate with glamour in current fashion trends, certainly. So it's a really clever use of fabric, silhouette, how it moves. Like they've put a lot of consideration into that, and also
Yeah.
clearly put consideration into the lighting of the scenes. She
Yes.
looks very different in
Yeah.
the darker scenes.
And
They
you
all
can
do.
see the
Yeah.
you can see the like the seams on the collar in the dark too with the shadows.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also tattoos. I
Yeah.
love the tattoos we've got going on
Mhm.
Oh,
here.
I absolutely love
Also,
it.
these
It does it.
earrings that make her look like an elf.
Yes. Yes.
I love this.
Fantastic. It is interesting to me, like how structured it is, because it does look
Yes.
incredibly flowy, but here you can see that it's
Yeah, there's a
really
lot of
structured.
structure going on underneath. And you
Very
can see
much.
some of it in the front of the dress toward the skirt
Yeah.
too. And then my favorite costume oops this season, like a lot of people wanted to call my attention to the zippers in the back of the white cloak costumes last season.
Oh,
My
okay.
favorite
Yeah.
oops in this season is in one of the scenes where we see her from behind during Nynaeve's test. You can see her bra band
Oh.
Whoops.
through the costume.
don't
Like
think
it's
I-
not visible, but because this is a really unforgiving fabric,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can just see it. So I'm guessing the team
Ugh.
didn't consider that angle, but
The way this drapes, like the sleeves, he's perfect.
it's so
Mhm.
beautiful.
And then like the skirt.
Yes.
Oh god. She's just
And the
like
sleeves are really like high Renaissance Europe, late medieval Europe. I mean, those are like kind of garbage time markers, but it's got that silhouette, right? It's
It
got that
also
thing
kinda-
that we go, oh, this is a high fantasy sleeve.
yeah, it gives me that
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
like I don't know, 11th, 12th century, like the very simple dresses. You know what I'm thinking about? Like the ones that you really think of as medieval, like Middle Ages. Even though that is
Yes,
not what
yes,
Wheel of Time
yeah.
is, don't comment. I know.
Yeah.
They're going for a vibe here with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of that, and just discussing comparisons in fantasy, right? That is also the sleeve shape that you see in the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And so you
Actually,
instantly
yes.
go to that high fantasy spot.
with the earrings that make her look sort of elven, I mean, she does look like you could just drop her into Rings of Power. Like she's the
Yeah.
only
Yeah, a
one
little
who
bit.
I feel like you really feel like you could. This flowy,
Yeah.
elegant, ethereal, like worldly.
It's interesting to me because I hadn't noticed how structured it was. To me, this dress was incredibly flowy, and then when you look at it,
Yep.
like it's actually somewhat restrictive
Oh, very.
in the top part. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and it also calls, I mean, it calls back to different artistic movements and just lots of different things, but the sleeves are really prominent. And I don't know what that dress looks like without those sleeves, but I'm really curious.
Yeah, me too. Like I'm wondering if this is like an over thing that you can put on over any dress.
It almost
That's
looks
kind
like
of the vibe of her costumes this season, because she has another
Yes.
piece later that does that.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
almost looks like those stripes are almost different colors, like very subtly in that picture.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
of
I
how
see
the
what you're saying.
light plays on them, it's possible it's also how they had to cut it. With sewing, there's like a right angle to how you cut things out, where there's the warp yarn and the weft yarn, and I'm getting way into the weeds here. Sorry, people
Mhm.
who are
Into the
watching this.
weeds
But
on a costume video?
I know, right?
No.
They may have had to cut it at a slight angle that could change how it looks in the different light, or it might be a
It looks
slightly
so
different dye
cool.
lot.
Yeah.
It also looks like
It's like,
rays of light
Yes.
thank
kind
you.
of
I was literally,
emanating
that was
out
coming
from a
out of,
collar, which is not the motif I
Mhm.
want for her.
No, but that's, you literally, my mouth was open to say it looks like rays of light, and then you said it. Like, that's what
But
it
that's
looks like.
also great for the keeper, right? Because it's like
Mhm.
I am preserving the light, and this is how she's dressed.
The flowing. Oh, she's got
Yes.
boots.
Oh, she's got some serious, I was just, yeah,
Yep.
she got some serious boots there too.
And the boots are more Victorian-ish. There's lots of,
Leandrin sort of had something like
mixing
those
fashion.
too.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
had
oh,
a
Leandrin had
luxurious heel.
boots.
When she landed in the kitchen, when
Yeah,
you got a real good
Yeah.
shot of
yeah.
them. Oh,
The
this
light in between the two dark.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do not think that's a mistake either.
Nope.
Also,
Don't
just
think
the
that's a
framing
mistake.
of this scene. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
You went to the next thing. I can't handle it.
I know. It's so good.
You want to talk about high neck armor? I mean, just
Oh,
So the thing that I love the most is the stiff obi-like structure
yes,
mhm.
of the jacket. And that textile, it to me, it strikes me as vintage, probably East Asian, or at least East Asian inspired. The pattern and print. And so
Yeah.
I love the way that she's just like wrapping herself in these stiff, unyielding, strip like layers that are very reminiscent of armor.
yes,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
especially in this scene,
and
which is a battle scene.
It
it
is.
is.
It's
100%.
social
It is.
combat.
It's very much so.
Oh,
Yes.
but she's so glamorous too. This is just like high fashion.
It's
Yeah.
stunning. Like, it's just, I do feel like this material does, armor is the right word. Like, it feels like it is very thick. Like, sorry, the word I see in my head when I look at this is upholstery. Like, it looks like upholstery fabric to me.
It's
Yeah.
definitely padded and structured.
Yeah.
Um, it reminds me of I've seen some examples of silk armor.
Oh, yes, yeah. You've talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's usually Japanese, but don't quote me on that. It was a long time ago.
This interests me too because in this last scene we saw her in
Yeah.
blue. In season 1, I think we just saw
hmm
her in the one
Mhm.
dress, and it was sort of a gold to go with Swan's
Yeah.
position. And in this
Yeah,
show,
and
they
it was
Yeah.
made
pants. In
yes,
It was, I
season
was about
one,
to
it
say,
was
yeah.
that's right. It was
pants.
pants.
You keep,
Sorry.
you keep saying what I was coming out of my mouth. I'm like,
Yes,
it wasn't a dress, it was pants.
it was
Yes.
pants
Yeah.
and an over, I don't know,
Yeah.
It
tunicky
looked
thing.
like a dress, though.
It did. Yeah. It was
Um,
actually, it was a behind the scenes picture that made me realize it was pants. I don't think
yes,
you could even see it in the show.
but
But
this
yeah,
is
she's
the
wearing
scene where she
vivid
says
color
she's
here.
acting as Amerlin, that she is
Yeah.
the Amerlin
Yeah.
basically, and she's got the Amerlin's gold on with the blue.
Yeah.
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 And this is a
Hmm.
vivid saturated blue that we
Yes,
Very.
basically otherwise only see on two other characters
In
this
the
season
past.
in the past. Exactly. We
Yeah.
see this kind of saturated blue on young Swan and young Moraine.
yes.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like it speaks of innocence. Like, you haven't been through it yet.
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
It's
the
coming.
look.
I
Oh,
think
she's
it's coming.
so fabulous.
Oh, so
Yeah.
sassy.
Yeah. I think it's coming this season too. I think that's what's gonna.
So
And
the other thing that's
oh,
really interesting here with this costume, I mentioned that I thought like it was kind of like two obies almost crossing over each other, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So in historical Japanese fashion, as I understand it, with that important caveat, the function of the obi is to create a like straight up and down silhouette, a tube, if you
Hmm.
will. And that's kind of what this is doing. I mean, it's flattened her chest, which in her other costume was very prominent
yes.
due to the
Mhm.
tailoring and the structuring of the garment. And here it's just like
Yeah.
armor flat all the way
Yeah.
down.
Again, I think that because
Yeah.
of her future arc where she accentuates and definitely plays on
hmm
femininity as a weapon, this is a garment meant to hide all of the
Mhm.
assets that Robert Jordan would like us to show. This is an anti-Robert Jordan outfit right here. I'm sorry, Archie.
Yes.
He would not approve. There is zero bosom.
Comments are going to be good on this one, aren't they?
You're just,
Lord.
she can cross her arms right across that chest.
Yes, they don't need to go under.
Yeah.
The arms are not being used as a push-up bra in this scenario.
But it's so fabulous.
That's actually something it's not universal among the Aes Sedai. Obviously, we have Lana in there, but it is something that I noticed in the outfits last year. I guess I'm still noticing it this year, but there isn't as much. Like, the idea I'm getting is in the world of the Aes Sedai, it is a world in which there are not a lot of men, and they are not dressing to accentuate secondary sexual characteristics. Like, that's just not a thing that we're seeing all that much. Like, there's not a lot of boobs and butts and hips going on.
And when they're there, they exist without being quite so sexualized.
Quite so. Yes, yeah. And then, of course, Alana, but
glamorous and beautiful, but there's nothing objectified about her as far as I'm concerned.
That's the word. Yeah, that's the feeling. Yeah, it's beauty without objectification. Like, it's just stunning and gorgeous, but it's not. I don't feel like I'm ogling. I just feel like, oh my God.
I mean, I feel like I'm ogling a little, but it's
I mean,
don't know if I'm in love with her or the fashion. I think both, but like
a little bit of both.
Why not? Fashion is so good. Let's look at the next one because it's just as amazing. Same thing.
I want this jacket. Like, I want this jacket.
The jacket reminds me of a specific movie costume, which of course I cannot remember for the life of me right now. So I'm trying to figure out where I said that. But there's this particular Katharine Hepburn film, and she wears a jacket very similar to that. In this film, not the full length thing, and I can't find it. But if I find it, I'll tell you. Sorry.
Please do. But it does. When you say Katharine Hepburn, I can't picture the movie right now, but it does evoke that feeling that I get.
Zoom in on the back.
Katharine Hepburn.
I think it was Katharine Hepburn.
That is so interesting. It's cool. Like, it has this thing down the back.
Yeah.
Oh, the silhouette is just so cool. Also, interesting colors here.
Yes.
There's a story because she's not. I mean, and this could be that you don't want her to go with the blue with Moraine in this scene, but she's sort of on team. Am I good or am I bad right now?
And I think they're playing a game with us by making us wonder that. So I have a link that I will share so that you can put it up on the video or however you want to do it. But the movie is called Christopher Strong. And it's not identical by any means, but just look at the jacket and look at what Leanne's wearing. There's some similarities. I think they're definitely wanting us to wonder, is she good or is she bad? I think they're also trying to show us that Leanne is an absolute master of camouflage. While what she is wearing is not Kyrian fashion, that dye pattern is very evocative of the Kyrian national textile from the costume Bible for the series, but it's in black and white. And I think they're also not only trying to make us wonder which side is Leanne on, but like, I think they're telling us as well, psychologically, this is a character who sees things in black and white. At least at this point in time, right? Like, there's good and bad. You're one or the other. There's no room for nuance in her current position.
And it's like, it's either you're with us or against us. And in this moment, she's like, and Moraine isn't with us. Like, that's her take. Also, she's got the magic weave to make her ring fit over her gloves.
And look how she works in this setting, but also stands out. Like, she's not quite right, but almost it's a really fascinating set of visual messages they're
I
sending.
love the hair too. The way she's got
Yeah.
it up right now, it's just part of the whole look. And it was down in the last scene, like long,
Yeah.
long, beautiful hair. But this is very severe and just like
Mhm.
it's part of
And
the
it
shape
also
of her
looks
head.
like I've been traveling, right? Like
Mhm.
this is I'm getting through the stupid security check without getting messed up look.
Yes. Also, I'm noticing like just all three of them are in incredibly structured. Like Maureen, we talked about how structured this is. It's the least structured of these three women. Like
Yeah.
they're this like Swan has this outfit that seems like to me it's incredibly heavy. You can't really. You have to sit exactly right, otherwise it will fall off. Like that's the feeling, or
And look how
be pulled down by
straight
the weight of
Leanne
it.
is standing too.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's what I was going to say. Like, this is so structured. I don't think she can stand any other way. Like, Moraine is the most freely dressed of all three of them. And this is also an outfit I would not want to wear. Because it looks like,
Right.
yeah.
They're
It
all
looks gorgeous. I
trapped
don't mean
in
it,
their
it's bad.
roles. Like whatever they want to
Yeah.
do themselves, they're trapped in their roles
Yeah.
in this particular moment.
Like, this is
Oh,
just.
she's so fabulous.
And I wonder
It's
how much of it too is like Leanne has to be the stick in the mud in comparison to Swan Sanche, flaunter of rules.
I mean, that's a thing in the books, actually, if I
Oh.
recall correctly.
Oh,
Swan
yeah.
gets frustrated because Leanne is a stickler for the rules. Like, Leanna calls her mother all the time. She's like, I hate it. That's her feeling of just, when we're alone together, we don't have to follow all of these rules, but Leanna is very
Sure.
much.
And of course,
Yeah.
right now in this scene, they're not just them. We've never, I think, seen in the show just Swan and Leanne, right?
No.
Oh, she's so fabulous. She's so angry.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Yes.
the light
And look how
in
the
this
textile
shot.
is shiny again.
Yeah.
The light in this shot
And-
is just like look how they framed that with the gold through the seat, behind the seat and everything.
Mhm.
Oof.
And they have their backs to each other, and Leanne is walking
Yeah.
away from the Amerlin, walking away from this seat. Like,
Mhm.
stuff's coming, people. Okay.
Oof.
Yes. Ah. And here she is, shielding the dragon.
And here's an interesting thing to me, too. The visual trick that this textile is playing is that even though we are now in a much darker scene in terms of lighting, right, than in the throne room, look how much brighter her costume appears, how much whiter. They're telling us she's probably more on the side of the light than the dark, but making us work for it.
Yeah.
You got played, girl.
And that's
Erin
that's the last
chooses
one
her words
for
very
her.
carefully.
Leanna's fabulous, isn't it? Like that coat that she has. Also that sort of like, I don't know what to call it, like the shell. What Pez referred to as like a double obi that she wears when she's in like the Amerlin's. I'm going to say Amerlin's study. I don't know, but when she like that is just. And so is the other blue silk dress. Everything she wears is really cool, and I'm still just continually fascinated by the earrings that basically just all of the jewelry that the characters had or wear in this show. I found a store that I've linked before. If I can remember where they are, I'll link it again. But where I think the show got a lot of their jewelry, and it's really super amazing. And I find it so cool and unique. It's just not things you see out in the world, and it gives the world of the Wheel of Time just a bit of a something that just makes it a little other, and I love that. I think it's great. Anyway, what was your favorite one of Leanna's costumes? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my content and you want to support me, I do have a Patreon. It's also linked in the description below. To my patrons, as always, thank you so much for your continued support. Truly means the world to me. And with that, I am gonna end this here. So please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.